Good afternoon.
Wake up, everybody.
And welcome to Our Voices. I am Tangela Murph Bailey.
And I'm John Bailey.
And I'm Oliver Bailey.
Thank you for joining us. This afternoon, we have some very special people here with us, and we have a lot to cover. Thank you so much for adjusting to our new scheduled time from 1:45 p.m. until 2:45 p.m. Also, just to let you know, next week we will not be on because of the Christmas holidays. We will resume our schedule January of 2021. For those of you all who are not familiar or interested or who've never heard the story of John Bailey, we're going to recap a little bit. John Bailey is home now after serving a 28-and-a-half-year prison stint in West Virginia and in Kansas. John's family fought very, very hard to bring John home. John has a story, and John has a mission, and John has a purpose. For those of you all who do not know, John stayed there for 28 and a half years for, what was your charge, John?
Conspiracy to commit drugs.
Conspiracy to sell drugs. John took a very leadership position while there. John was the advocate, shot caller,
The representative.
the representative. When John left, the last thing they said to him, John, tell our listening audience what they told you to do and why are we here today?
Okay, as I've said before, when I left prison, the guys asked me to speak on their behalf and to let everybody know out here what was going on inside the prison wall. So, in doing so, I had told them before I left, I said that I would do everything I can to wake the people up and let them know exactly what's happening inside these prison walls.
So John is serving as an advocate, and that is exactly what we're trying to do. John hit the ground running. This show is focused on prison reform, criminal justice reform, and sentencing reform. Later, we will continue to try and build on the show by bringing on lawmakers, congressional people such as congressmen, congresswomen. We have 2 attorneys, and we have, hopefully, if Kathy Castor will confirm, we will have her and others. And that will support the fact that there needs to be prison reform and all of the other reforms that we have mentioned. We have with us here today a very, very, very special person today. This person is a special person today because he is a mighty man, a persistent man, a man who would not take no for an answer, a magnificent man, a man who knows how to make things happen. His affections, his effectiveness, everything brought about a change. This man worked hard, very, very hard, like a machine. This man is none other than the brother of John Bailey, Oliver Bailey. He has a mind like a machine. And you know why? He's quite capable. He teaches physics and robotics at Gibbs High School. This is the man right here behind me that is responsible for working hard. He worked the appeals for John. He worked the legal system for John. He worked with the judges for John. He worked with the attorneys for John. He wrote all the letters for John. He stayed up endless nights for John, sleepless days, took vacations. He drove up to Tallahassee. He drove around the world. He advocated in Washington, D.C. He held signs and marched for John. He did more than I am actually relating to you. So I want you to know this is the man behind the mission, Oliver Bailey. Welcome, Oliver.
Okay. Before we allow Oliver to speak, I would like to pay a special tribute to the judge who released me, who was instrumental in writing the letter that was so significant in terms of supporting me for release. This judge is, I like to pay tribute to him. His name is the Honorable Judge William Costanza. Okay, he passed away on December the 18th. And it say, as the sentencing judge in my case, Judge Costanza is the epitome of fairness, compassion, and mercy in the criminal justice system, where many have been locked behind prison walls and the keys thrown away because of mandatory minimum sentencing laws. These laws take away the judge's discretion to implement traditional and proper authority to account for the actual circumstances of the crimes and the characteristics of the individual defendants who, when imposing a sentence. Like many judges, Judge Costanza's hand was tied behind his back when I received the ultimate mandatory life sentence with no possibility of ever being free again. I was destined to die behind prison walls. I clearly remember the words Judge Costanza said to me upon sentencing and before I was led away by the U.S. Marshals. He said, "Good luck to you, Mr. Bailey." I would have never dreamed that one day that this same judge would write a letter on my behalf to the Office of Pardon Attorneys recommending compassionate release. This is truly the highlight of my life, as I had given up all hopes and never seeing the outside of a prison wall in a place they call Misery Mountain at USP Hazleton. After serving 28 hopelessness and despair, they say there is no doubt that it was the compassion of Judge Costanza's letter which shined a spotlight on the inequities of this mandatory minimum sentencing laws and the disparities that lies between old laws and recent criminal justice reform. To the family of Judge Costanza, on behalf of myself and the Bailey family, please accept our sincere condolences for the great loss of your family and the judicial community. Judge Costanza continues to be a true champion of justice in our hearts and the epitome of fairness, compassion, and mercy. And because of that, our family is forever grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that letter in tribute to the judge that made a difference. Now, we're so privileged here to have Oliver Bailey with us here today. And once again, you know, as we stated earlier, it was Oliver's efficacy that made things happen and that brought about the change. I want to personally say thank you, Oliver, for all of your labor, all of your hard work, and all of your resilience. And the listening audience, resilience is when you fall down or when you're knocked down or when things don't go your way, when you are resilient, you just get back up. Both of these men have been very, very resilient. This family is the most important family I have ever in my life met. My husband, Bobby, and his brother, Milton, were the prayer warriors, ushering the prayer through 1, 2 o'clock in the morning that I would hear all the time. You've got the other part of the family. You've got Loretta. You have the older brother, William. You've got Margaret, Sharon. Don't want to leave anybody out, but just want to let you know, this is the man right here. We can never say enough about the goodness of Oliver. My question to you, Oliver, is how does it feel to have John home? And the second question is, how did you feel when you found out that all of your efforts were gonna work because you were working like a machine?
Well, I must say I'm humbled by the recognition, but this was a team effort. It was very difficult. I just said I was very persistent. I didn't want to give up. I just couldn't understand why John was lost in the system as he was. And I remember going to many attorneys, been turned down many times, but I just couldn't understand why. And I started researching some things about his case. Starting out reading old newspaper articles. From there, I said, I need evidence. I need to go and find out why things happened the way they were. I went to the courthouse, started looking at documents there, and found many of those documents. And I began to question a lot of things about the judicial process. So from there, it's like I wanted to get understand the process behind the compassionate release. So I said, let me see. I was up late one night. I said, let me see what I can find out about compassionate release. Then I saw something at Stetson University about a compassionate release program. And I wanted to get into part of it, and then found out that program was no longer available. So I said, now what? So then from there, I started contacting the people at Stetson that ran the class and wondered if that was going to be another opportunity. But I found out that wasn't the case. So I called, left messages, and I got a phone call back from this wonderful lady in Tampa, Miss Donnelly M. Didn't know who she was at the time, but she gave me a call back, and I explained my brother's situation. And she was so wonderful, so sincere about helping. She said, why don't you come over and meet with me? So I did. And I relayed the story, kind of relayed what information I had. And she told me point blank, say, you know, it's going to be a long shot, but it's worth fighting for. So when I said, okay, let me see what else I can get for you. And she contacted me later on because of two of the old prior charges that John had, and said, it's going to be difficult. His case is not going to be accepted. And I said, okay, now what? What do I do? But I didn't give up. I said, let me find out about those cases. I didn't believe some of the things that happened in those cases, but I needed the evidence. So that's why I went passionately up to that courthouse, back and forth, looking at the documents, looking at over microfiche, and started finding all kinds of inconsistencies in those documents. So I said, okay, why don't I just do this myself? I'm going to learn how to do the compassionate release application myself. So when I did that, I put together, like Tangent said, many sleepless nights. Over the weekend, during the summers, just researching and writing and trying to get everybody to the attention I could get on the issue. But time and time again, I kept getting turned down, even by the person that I initially met. So finally, after all of that, I put together those documents, and I just asked her one simple question. It was a question on one of the application I didn't understand. So I just asked her, I just need your input on this question. Mm-hmm. And I sent her everything that I had, not wanting her to do anything with it, but just ask a question. What about this particular question on this application? She said, I know which one you're talking about. And she looked it over, and she finally asked me, well, would you like help filing it? And that's when my eyes lit up. I said, sure. And from there, she went to bat for me. I'm so grateful to her, Ms. Donnelly M. in the Middle District of Florida, along with all the wonderful team members over there that she had working with her.
Yeah. So we thank Ms. Donna Ailes, the whole entire Middle District Federal Public Defender's Office, and our lawyers, Attorney Adil Bashir, and one very other special lady, Mrs. Deborah Flanagan, and we thank them very much.
Oh, wow. Deborah Flanagan. I do know her very, very well.
Oh,
well, John, we're just so glad that you're sitting here with family for the holidays. For Christmas, you're here with family. You've missed so many Christmases being without your family and being away. I know you're happy to be here.
First Christmas home in 28 years.
Isn't that magnificent?
Absolutely.
Thank you again, Oliver. Yay! Everybody put your hands together for Oliver Bailey. He's not for hire, though. Okay, next, we have another person standing by. I want to tell you something about African-American authors, being that I have such a passion for literacy. And what we do at Reader's Choice is we promote literacy one book at a time. So having an African-American bookstore, I have an allegiance to authors, local, worldwide, out of state. I always want to put them up front so that they will have an opportunity to talk about their works. When I first started my business, I did so because I went into our local bookstores to find information about our African-American authors. The books were not there. So I went on a tour called African-American Women on Tour down in Miami, where I met Maya Angelou, Donald Seymour, Tina Turner-Stein, just Michael Baisden, so many authors. Those authors are from a different genre now. You know, it's not those people anymore. Then we went to the hip hop, Triple Crown, the ghetto novels, which I wasn't proud to sell, but that was my bread and butter. So we had so many people that would walk into the store and introduce themselves or leave a book. But let me back up a little bit. I went to some of the local bookstores, and I'm not going to even name them to give them any credit, but none of our material was on the shelf. I would ask for our material, and I would say, well, do you have a book by this person or that person? And they would say, no, we don't have that, but we can order it for you. I said, well, why don't you have it on the shelf? Why isn't it stocked? Well, ma'am, and they will come up with some excuse. I was so tired of hearing those excuses. That's what made me start Reader's Choice. And today, Reader's Choice is 24 years old. So they would not position our authors on the shelves. So I started doing it. Then after I started doing it, then they followed suit and started doing what I was doing. So ever since then, I have had an allegiance for African-American authors. And I'd like to introduce you today to a very, very special African-American author. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this lady. This lady's name is Amber Randleman. She was born in Mississippi and grew up in Florida. During high school afterwards at Edison Community College, she received secretarial and practical writing skills training. Then while working as a secretary for Dr. Ronald Hart, medical doctor and naturalist, she developed a love for the science of food and the body. After that, Amber opened and operated a preschool and received ongoing training from the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA, and that was from 1986 to 2007. Later, she furthered her studies in fitness and wellness, psychology, diet, and lifestyle intervention. Amber is now a certified diet and lifestyle intervention coach specializing in holistic health. Finally, to help save lives, she took on the project of authoring a recipe for defeating disease. Amber Randleman now resides in Georgia, where she teaches holistic health to all who will listen. Today, I'd like to thank Amber for being here today, and I am holding up the #1 best-selling New York Times bestseller, A Recipe for Defeating Disease. Welcome, Amber. Hello, Amber.
Hi. Good to be here. Good to be here.
Glad to have you here. You are such a a wonderful lady, such a wonderful woman. And you know what? Anybody who can impart, it's all about impartation. It's imparting something into another person's life. And that is exactly what you did in this book. When I look at this book, I scan this book, and I am the kind of person, I read multiple books at one time. I saw you broke this into 5 chapters. And you know what? 5 is significant for, I know what it's significant for, but I'm going to let you tell us.
Okay.
Chapter 1, lifestyle and behavior. Chapter 2, vital medicinal nutrition. Physical fitness. Chapter 3. Chapter 4, health and weight loss strategies. And the last chapter is maintenance. Amber, what are the 5 things I'm talking about in keep the body together?
Yeah, so what I tried to do within the book is to incorporate everything that will cause a person to reach their goal of ultimate health. That's the whole goal.
Raise your voice.
And so in order to do that,
raise your voice just a little, please.
Okay, all right. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I did is there are 5 aspects to being a total well-being. And so I try to incorporate all that in the book, and I like for people to be aware of that, whether they listen to me or someone else. And those 5 avenues is, we have mental health. Okay, we have to be fit with that mental health. And then, of course, the next one is physical health. So we do need to exercise. And then you have spiritual health. So, and a lot of people, you know, whether they believe in God or not, they have to believe in something, because that'll keep them going, but I suggest God. And then you have social health. You do have to have people in your life, and it doesn't have to be a lot of people, but some of us are introverts and some of us are more outgoing, but you do have to have some kind of support system, whether it's 2, 3 people or a whole group of people. And then you have the emotional health. So you do need to make sure that you stay in tune with your emotional health, things that's going on with you. If something happened in your life, you need to analyze yourself. So we do have to use psychology on ourselves all the time. And as far as people that you pull into your social group, you need to make sure that they are people that are not toxic. That's the whole point, in order to stay socially.
Yes, you know, and just bringing John back in the picture, none of those things are applied in the prison system.
Mm-hmm.
They care about mentally, socially, physically, none of that. They just throw that away. They toss that aside. But, you know, this is such a wonderful book because you are doing it the natural way.
Natural healing, yeah.
Western medicine, and for those who don't know what Western medicine is, it is more of the kind of prescribed medication with a prescription. Me, myself, and my husband, we practice more of the holistic, natural, the northern, the Eastern medicine. And that involves things that we have in our cabinet, such as turmeric, green vibrance, anything you can think of, moringa. Those are the things that we put in our bodies. We like things from the ground in our bodies. Before chemicals were around, there were people like Methuselah, Confucius. All those people lived over 100 years old. They were not getting prescriptions written. It's like all the doctors these days seem like they want to do is just write you a prescription. That's not the cure. That is not the answer. So my husband and I, we find ourselves juicing a lot. We juice spinach, we juice pineapples, apples, bananas, you name it. Now we must realize we must keep the body equalized, meaning acidic versus alkaline. We understand that cancer cannot survive in an alkaline environment. I understand that. That's why some people drink Kogan water, which is alkaline. So there are many things that balance. You want to keep your body pH balanced. We do know that. Now, Amber, it's amazing that the cover of your book is green.
Yep.
It's good. We know green signifies good. And what else? The ground. We see cows grazing grass all the time. Dogs sniffing and eating grass. The bugs messing up our plants outside because they nibble on the plants that are green. So apparently everything's going to green, right? So
Not everything, but yeah.
Yeah, so as people and individuals, we need to be doing green as well.
That's right.
So Amber, why don't you tell us a little about the significance of green and different things like spinach and aloe and whatever else you choose to mention?
Well, actually, the within the book, it's abundance of information. Like I mentioned, all the other categories. So this whole book is a recipe itself, right? Now, in the back of the book, I do have 3 potent recipes that can actually heal the body. And that I want people to buy the book to see that, because they need to buy the whole book to see and read the whole thing and make it part of them. But as far as going natural, what I like to say first is that when I was working for Dr. Rona Cathcart, he had people that came in and he gave them a choice of medicine or natural healing. The majority of them chose medicine because they didn't want to do the work. But there is work involved in keeping your body healthy the natural way. You have to train yourself, and we know that some people they have formed habitual habits with certain foods. And so they have to break those habits. And so this book helps them to break habits too, because we use a little psychology in there. But as far as eating, I always like to tell people, there's nothing that grows out of the ground that's for human consumption that cannot be eaten in its natural form. And so, but you can eat cooked foods as well. You just have to balance the body. They talk about it a lot on the TV commercials when they talk about pH balancing your hair, you see. So we have to do that with our body as well. So in here, I have outlined a chart with all the food that are acidic, and because we do need some acid. So some acid we do need. We just don't need as much as what people eat. And then, of course, I've outlined.
Although as far back, as Angela talked about Methuselah and what have you. Okay, even though they didn't write chemical prescriptions, they did write natural prescriptions, right? Because the medicines and things that they used came from nature, right? So they did use prescription, but it might not have been in the sense of chemicals as they do now, but they did write prescriptions.
Yeah, they would take roots and berries
Right.
and things like that and make tonics and things like that.
Right.
But for the
So
most
that would be
part,
considered,
they didn't have a lot of
like
process.
a prescription, though, right? Because
No,
it's a formula. It's a natural formula. You know what I'm saying? Whereas it would heal the body, do these same things that chemicals do, but they are not chemicals. They are just natural prescriptions, something that's combined to pretty much soothe the ache or pain or what have you. Even
Well,
though it's a prescription, but I look at it in terms of like it just being natural, coming from the earth.
if it's natural, that's a
Right.
different story. But a lot of prescriptions right today, prescriptions where it's products and things that should not be consumed by humans.
Right.
That's the problem with that. Not necessarily chemicals, just compounds that should not enter the human body. So there are a bunch of preservatives in the food that's processed that they put it in, and it should not be in our bodies, but they do it. And they get permission from the FDA to do that. because the goal at this point, when they do this in our time today, is to preserve the food on the shelves. Because a lot of people can't grow their own food anymore. They don't have backyards. And if they do, it's not big enough to grow all the food they need for the whole year. So there's a process that man has. And by me working for USDA, I learned about that. And so...
I hate to interrupt you, but right now we need to take a break.
Okay.
And the other side, we will speak with you again. Thank you.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Politics, it's life. It's the Life Malcolm Show every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on In Touch Radio.
Thank you so much, and welcome back to Our Voices with my co-host, John Bailey.
Wake up, everybody.
That's right. Wake up, everybody. Wake up and see our very special guest, Oliver Bailey. We are so privileged to have Oliver. Oliver's on break this week. That's the only way we got a chance to steal him. He's not teaching this week. And Amber. We definitely will be bringing you back on the
show. Let me give an example of something that John brought out. Like, for instance, Tylenol.
Say that again.
To finish responding to the point that John was bringing out. And like, for instance, aspirin. Aspirin is from a willow bark tree. It's natural. These are things that we should use, like herbs and aspirin. But then you got something like Tylenol. That's a compound that we should not take in our body, but it does alleviate pain. But people get their liver damage from it and other problems. And it does not alleviate the pain like aspirin would, which comes from a willow bark tree. So aspirin is natural, is normal, and our body recognizes it as that. But then when you talk about Tylenol, that's a whole different ballgame. It can harm you. And you can't even, if someone has a cup of wine or something with a Tylenol, that's a double whammy. So there are compounds that should not go in our body, and those are the prescriptions that you have to avoid. But there are a lot of prescriptions made from natural things like aspirin.
You know, I was just speaking with my girlfriend last week, and she's a doctor, and she was telling me that we've known each other since we were 16 years old. So we've been best friends for a very, very long time. And I travel back and forth to see her, and she's been back and forth here to see me. And she was telling me, she said, can you believe, Tan, that Tylenol is what we often find when doing autopsies in people's bodies? I could not believe that. I could not believe it. But, you know, I just wanted to piggyback on what you just said about Tylenol. Now tell me, what is BC powder? I know a lot of us take that stuff. What is that all about?
Well, BC powder, people took this way back in the day, and they would take it with like a bottle of Coke soda. And when you, or Pepsi, whichever, but Coke is what my family used. And that aspirin mixed with the, what's in the Coke, used to be cocaine in the Coke, but stuff like that. They changed that and they started putting caffeine in it because they realized people were getting hooked on drugs, right? And so, but even if you take the regular one, which is caffeine, whether it has sugar or not, and you take that with aspirin, it doesn't have to be a BC, it could be an aspirin, it will actually work better and quicker in the body. And so I always suggest people, if you're going to take an aspirin, try to take it with something to coat your stomach, you know, or either you can buy the coated kind. But BC is pure aspirin. And later they put a little caffeine in it because they learned that caffeine makes it work better. So they started putting caffeine in it about a couple of years ago. But it's just regular aspirin, just like Bayer, just like Advil, Dones, a lot of them. They're just pure aspirin. So they all work real good in the body. They relieve inflammation. And if you have a fever, it takes your fever down. And it just makes you feel better. And I've known people who had major operations and they took BC as opposed to oxycodone.
Yes.
And it worked better.
Cocaine. Amber, I know you wrote this book for a reason.
Yep.
And I know you can't go through the book all today at one time. But what are some words that you would leave the listening audience today? What is it that you can tell them that would empower them? And what is it that you can tell them? I'm telling you one thing I can tell them. You are going to purchase this book.
Yeah.
That is one thing you need to have.
They do.
Your personal library in your direct possession, in your hand, in your home, in your car, in your briefcase. You have this book, A Recipe for Defeating Disease. Amber, you want to give them your contact information, please?
Well, actually, what I'll do is I will put the link that takes them directly to Amazon.com and directly to the book. And then all they got to do is push buy. and they can return if they don't like it. Amazon allows you to return anything that you buy off their site. It's just there's a time frame to it. And I will put that down there. And if they have any questions after they purchase the book, they can email at me at Amber R, which is Amber with 2 R's, AMBRR at oasisnaturalhealing.net. That is my business name. Now, I want to say this to them. I like to leave them with the thought of, and it's right here at the beginning of chapter 1. It says, what about your body? This is my question to everyone. What about your body? Do you really respect it and take care of it? Come on. I mean, really. The fact that your body is you should set off an inner alarm for you to make sure of all things when it comes to nourishing it properly. I say properly because there are many foods we eat that have no nutritional value, and there are medicinal foods that we exclude from our diet. So if you are not nourishing your body, then the proof will eventually be in your level of health sooner or later.
Want to let our
sooner or later, if you don't eat right, it's going to affect you. So, that's like
sorry, Amber.
Okay.
Want to let our audience know we will be giving away some of these books today. You need to call the station. I do need help with that number. 813-444-9588. We have a caller on the line.
Oh, okay.
Hello, caller. Hello. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, audience, for your attention. And we encourage you to purchase the book, A Recipe for Defeating Disease by Amber Randleman.
It has lots of questionnaires so you can get to know yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
We are so happy today to have our next guest. Rashida Strober. Are you here with us, Rashida? Rashida?
wicked. All of you want to say anything about that?
Well, in the meantime, I'm able to hear her voice. Yes, I can. Okay, so let me introduce to you Rashida. Okay. Rashida? Are you able to hear me, Rashida? Very low. Okay, I'll try to talk as loud as I can. Let me see if we can adjust the microphone on the computer.
We could hear her just tell us.
If you want to call, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do at this point, but if you want to call 727-415-3459, but I want to give an introduction to Rashida. I want to let the listening audience know that Rashida Strober is an African-American author. She is the world's first dark-skinned activist. She is the creator of the dark-skin activism, which focuses on colorism and the new paradigm of darkism. She created the movement in 1998. She holds a master's degree from the University of South Florida and has written more books on darkism and colorism than anyone in the USA. Some of her books include Darkism and Token Dark Girl. She has a website, and I'm proud to be able to hold up one of her books, Darkism, 25 Ways Dark-Skinned People are Discriminated Against. I've had Rashida at the store before for a book signing and for other events. I hope you can hear Rashida. Put your hands together and welcome Mrs. Rashida Strober. Rashida is also a performer. She travels the world doing her one-person act. She has done things locally at theaters here in St. Petersburg, in Atlanta, Georgia, up north, and many, many other states. And she is on the road today doing her thing. Welcome, Rashida Strober. Rashida, can you hear us? Rashida? Okay. Can you give us a call back in, please? Okay. We're so happy today to have John here with us. As we stated, this is the first year within many years to have John celebrate with us the holidays. You know, our message to you all are spend as much time that you possibly can this holiday season with your family. Share your memories. Talk about old school things. Keep those memories close to your heart and share them. John, what does this Christmas mean to you to be home? And audience, I know everybody does not celebrate Christmas, but the holidays should still be happy. And whether it's the food, the opening of the gifts, or just being around family, we have so much to be thankful for. We want you to keep the meaning in Christmas. Don't go out and spend all of your money, max out your credit cards, spend money for bills that's designated for something else, or money that you just don't have. That is not the reason for the season. So, John, let's hear your perspective on that.
Well, this Christmas to me means everything. This is the first time in 28 years that I've been with my family. I will be with my family. But in a way, it's kind of a happy, sad moment, because when I say that, I think about the guys that I left behind.
Yes, I know that would be emotional.
Inside of a prison at this time of the year is the saddest time of any prison, any convict's life in it. So anybody out there who have family members or no friends or anybody that's incarcerated, reach out to them during this time in particular, because this time is the saddest time of their life right now. So to me, right now, to be with my family is probably the most happiest moment I could ever wish for.
I know it is.
Right.
Oliver, do you have a word on that?
It seems so surreal to have my brother here before me. And I never gave up in spite of all the obstacles that I went through. It was painful to have my mother pass away when my brother was incarcerated. And I said, I just don't want anybody else to die while he's in prison. And he won't have the opportunity to be with them. So that's why I just never gave up. Just kept pressing. But I just thank God for all the prayers, because there have been some nights that I just sat there and wonder, what's the next obstacle I'm going to face? But I always kept the hope, because I had some of the greatest backers behind me. And that's what gave me strength to keep moving forward.
Oh, Oliver, I tell you, you definitely hung in there. That took a lot of strength, in addition to a lot of other adjectives and every other noun and thing that we could think of for you to hold on. Your resilience made the difference. Yes. Rashida Strober, can you hear me? Welcome, Rashida.
You, excuse me.
Wow. Rashida, I want to thank you for participating in our show. And I want to let our listening audience know, and I'm sure they already know, but we have no control over our skin color. We have no control over the way we look. We have no control over the hue, or our melatonin, and the skin, the tones in our skin. We don't have any control of that. So there's no need to discriminate against anybody who does not look like you. I think I'm the oddball. I'm the only dark-skinned one in the picture today. Now I'm surrounded by all these light-skinned people, Daryl and Oliver and John and Bobby and Amber, but that's okay.
Oh no, I'm brown. I'm brown like you.
Thank you so much for coming. And I appreciate it. And we will see you again and hope to hear from you again next year in 2021. Safe travels. Thank you. Buy the book. Callers, call in 813-444-9588. Call in and we will give you any of these books free today. Both of the books are free. And we want to thank you again, Amber and Rashida. And we look forward to speaking with you again. This program is being brought to you through the courtesy of Reader's Choice Book and Gift Store. For all of your African American art needs, African attire, African authors, children books, history books, Christian books, church materials, tutorial services, whatever you need, any kind of ethnic item, gift item, referral, authors, whatever you need, call us 727-415-3459, 727-409-4310. Thank you again, and
Wake up, everybody.
Wake up, everybody, and join us again in 2021. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you.